Hello everybody, here we are today and we are doing our Week 12 CFL picks and getting on into that. Now before we get started with that, please make sure to subscribe if you're new to me or the CFL, whatever the case may be. That being said, let's get on into it. So last week you may have noticed that I didn't put out a video. My apologies. We were going on a vacation to Michigan, my wife and I had meant to record the night before, but just, getting ready and packing and all that things got in the way. But it was a good week for my picks, so I guess a distracted me is a good me when it comes to making my picks, as I went 3-1. And this week, we have a lot of enticing matchups because you have players returning. Some are not very likable, others are. Anyway, let's get on into it. The first game of the week is the Saskatchewan Roughriders against the Toronto Argonauts. This one is a little bit confusing as you have Trevor Harris and he returned, AJ Ouellette, they returned last week, and Saskatchewan still found a way to lose to the Montreal Alouettes, the best team in the CFL. And one thing that's kind of interesting here for Saskatchewan is they don't have a win in about a month, as they've gone 0-3-1 over the past 4 games and are trying to find a way to get some momentum rolling. Now on the flip side of that, you have Toronto, who's at home, that's getting their MLP, Chad Kelly, back. And this is something that's getting a lot of attention because, of course, why was he suspended? What was all of that about? We're all aware of the situation. Anyway, in terms of on the field, Kelly is a guy that is a very good football player. And in terms of this game, he's going to have a big impact as to whether or not Toronto's going to get the win, Saskatchewan's going to get the win. Although we are aware of the fact that this will be a huge storyline in terms of Kelly coming back. So looking at this game, I actually think I'm going to be picking Saskatchewan here. Yes, they've not been able to get a lot of wins in recent months, or recent month, I should say. They haven't picked up any wins, but maybe Kelly has a performance like we saw, of course, Nathan Rourke have in his first return back to the CFL. Now, the second game of the week, you have the Hamilton Tiger Cats traveling over to Winnipeg in a game that's going to be especially critical, probably more so for Winnipeg. But if Hamilton loses this is probably actually the end of the road for them, as they sit at 2-8 and things are not looking good. Obviously, as they sit at a spot where they're the worst team in the league. Meanwhile, Winnipeg is trying to claw their way back to 500. Kenny Lawler returned last week. Nick Dimsky had a good game. And this side is just trying to get the job done against a team that last year I think went into Winnipeg, or at least they played each other, and Hamilton put up like a 50-burger and ended up beating them. Winnipeg can't afford any slip-ups here as they are trying to get better position for a playoff spot as Calgary continues to slide. I'm going to be picking Winnipeg here. Of course, picked up a big win against the Lions last week. Lawler returns, all that good stuff, playing Hamilton that is down and out. And then you have the third game of the week as the BC Lions play the Ottawa Redblacks. This is going to be big because BC is in the midst of, a 4-game losing streak. Whatever it is, it feels like it's been a minute and it's not been perfectly fun by any means. You had Vern going out with an injury, and then of course you had Nathan Rourke coming back, and everybody's like, yeah, this is great, this is exciting. I was one of those people that get overconfident and said that Rourke was going to be able to guide them past the Blue Bombers for a win. He went 8 for 25. Winnipeg said, hey, we played you before and we beat you before in the playoffs, so we'll do it again in the regular season, which they're able to do before too. So looking at this game, you have BC trying to get some momentum back as Saskatchewan's been sliding. You have, of course, BC that's been sliding. It's weird to think that Winnipeg might, at the end of the year, find a way to be the top spot out west when we were talking about that year being a disaster for them. And then on the flip side, you have Ottawa that is 6-2-1. They are continuing to do very well. They may not be a dominant team. They may be dealing with the fact that they are trying to have Lewis Ward just do what he can do to get them back into games and have game-winning field goals. But at the same time, too, they are doing some things right. You have Jeremiah Masoli there, which is why I was excited about Ottawa, where I said if they have a good quarterback situation with Drew Brown, even if he goes down, a healthy Jeremiah Masoli could be a good QB for them. So I'm thinking with Ottawa being here at home, they could be the favorite. However, I'm going to be picking BC here. It's kind of been my kryptonite as of late. But I just feel like with Rourke being there, and of course the Red Blacks being a team that I feel like has still not really truly made a statement yet, if they go out there and get a win over this BC team, I'd feel like they are that much closer to being the real deal. And at that point, they'd be 7-2-1, being able to beat some other teams they may not have expected them to. So Ottawa, again, making a statement here possibly, and really just putting themselves in a good spot to be that 2 seed out east. And then the final game of the week is one that you probably would have looked at a couple weeks ago and thought this is going to be just terrible. You're going to have Montreal playing Edmonton. Edmonton is winless. Montreal is the best team in the league. And one of those things still holds true. Montreal does have the best record in the CFL, and they are a side that has not been fazed necessarily by injuries to, important positions. You're looking at the fact that they lost Cody Fajardo, and then, of course, you had Caleb Evans that went down with an injury. Enter Davis Alexander, and then everything's okay there. So you're seeing a Montreal team that is in a spot right now where they're 9-1. Things have been going well for them. Best record in the CFL, having a good-looking helmet, possibly a alternate uniform. They're going to be rocking out here against Edmonton, and then the fact that they get Austin Mack back, that is big. And I know we're talking about all these things, and you're probably thinking, well, then why would Edmonton playing Montreal be a good thing right now, considering they aren't a playoff team, not even necessarily close to it at the moment? It's because of the fact that they have won 3 games in a row and they nearly put up 50 points against Hamilton. Now, I know some people say, well, that's not necessarily impossible to do, but looking at the fact you had Javon League that's dangerous, Rankin that's dangerous, looking at the team that was able to score 25 points in the second quarter, I believe, you can kind of see where Edmonton is one of those teams that might not be a side like Montreal where they'd want to have to face Edmonton at the moment, a team that could possibly get them on a bad day. So looking at all this, you're seeing an Edmonton side that did kind of what they did last year, started off the year really slow, had a mid-season run where things went well for them. You're hoping that maybe this thing can be better for them because with the way things have been going as of late out west, there may be a crack, if you will, where they can kind of get into and then find a way into the playoffs as Saskatchewan, of course, BC, and now Winnipeg, all teams that you probably expected to have better years than they did, haven't. So I'm looking at this one and saying this is going to be maybe a little bit closer than you expect. I am going to be picking Montreal here, though. They are at home. They are 9-1. They're just a feel-good team that is looking to be very, very good in a threat when it comes to being November. I would like to see Edmonton pull off the upset here, and that would be really fun in terms of the playoff positioning, but I guess we'll see. So my final picks for the week are going to be Saskatchewan, it's going to be Winnipeg, it is going to be BC, and then the final game is going to be Montreal. So we'll see how it goes. Again, I know some of these games are going to be weird with Kelly, with Mac, with Rourke, all these things that are up in the air, as well as injuries and some other things that are a problem. So anyway, let me know your thoughts on who you're going to be picking this week in the CFL down below in the comments, and I do apologize again for missing the video last week, but again, we also had to travel like 4.5 hours for where we were going. So anyway, everybody, please make sure to like this video if you enjoyed it, subscribe if you're new. Everybody stay safe, have a great night.